Alex Jones is going through a custody trial for his kids. Now, I told you earlier when we covered this that I feel bad. I think all these divorce proceedings or custody trials are really, really tough. Both sides oftentimes get mean or weird. But when you're talking about Alex Jones getting weird, it gets real weird. And so I thought the most relevant part was the one we shared with you a couple of days ago when his lawyer admitted that he's a, quote, performance artist. I wish of all the performance arts, perhaps he chose miming instead, but he didn't. He decided that he was going to be an actor pretending to be a right-winger who cares a lot. On his way to court after that, he did this rambling video as usual, where he would say, "Now, I'm not a performance artist, I really mean it, but I mean, I am an artist, and I mean, I want my lawyer to win the case, so I'm a clown and I act like it. But on the other hand, I'm serious. I really think there's a global conspiracy of lizards or whatever it is that I made up yesterday." So that's usual Alex Jones stuff. Now, we go to the unusual because we found out new facts about Alex Jones that are disturbing. First of all, we came up a little bit during the proceedings, the Young Turks did, and the judge apparently decided that they should not show any Young Turks videos in the trial. Well, makes sense. If the jury saw it, they'd of course be full of Young Turks fans because they're Americans, and they might want to rule against Alex Jones. I don't know that that was really the basis for her decision, but Judge Naranjo said, did not approve of the showing the jury a video clip of a confusing scene in which Jones and Roger Stone, the longtime Trump confidant, interrupted live coverage of the 2016 Republican National Convention in Cleveland by a left-wing news show called The Young Turks. So, don't inflame the jury. They're probably all TYT Army anyway. If you let them know that Alex Jones attacked us, then poor guy would stand no chance. We understand that. That seems like a fair decision on the part of the judge. Okay, again, not positive that's why she ruled that way. Okay, now here's the other fun things we found out about Alex Jones, and I'm gonna try to keep it to a minimum here because it's a target-rich environment. Among the other videos Newman wanted to show, that is his wife's attorney, to show of Jones was one in which Jones and his son tossed darts at a photo of Hillary Clinton that was placed on a dartboard. Now, people are making some hay out of this, and I think that that's unfortunate. I wouldn't go in that direction, but not the end of the world. So let's see if it gets worse. Jones allegedly instructed his children to record their mother's behavior to help him in his custody fight. Now, see, that's ugly. That's exactly what I was talking about, where these things get brutal on both sides. And obviously she's made some allegations against him. He's trying to turn the kids against her and in fact even record her and then pass it on to their dad. Don't do that, man, don't do that. Don't use the kids like that. And that sounds like a bit of a conspiracy. Okay, now, all right, now that's standard fare for custody stuff. Not standard fare, pretty bad stuff, but okay, let's move on. I don't want to talk about the kids or the family too much. I care about Alex Jones only because, by the way, the president of the United States now listens to this madman and apparently thinks that he's saying things that are true. So that's where I think the relevance of the story comes in. So according to Newman, again, the lawyer for the wife here, Jones was so inattentive to his own children that he once forgot what grades they were in. Even more strangely, Jones claimed he forgot this information because he had just eaten a large bowl of chili for lunch. Again, ignore the kids part, don't worry about it, okay? But you don't know what grade they're in? Could be 7th, it could be 2nd or 12th. I'm not positive, but they might be in college or not exist. But either way, I don't remember. Okay, that's fine, all right. That's not fine, that's horrible. I can't believe you don't know what grade your kids are in. Okay, but anyway, why did you forget, Mr. Jones? Oh, well, obviously chili. I mean, right there, I'd end the trial. I'd be like, okay, well, she gets the kids, we're moving on. What do you mean she gets the kids? That's outrageous, I'll take my shirt off right now. But Alex, you say you can't remember things because you ate a bowl of chili. I mean, God forbid you eat New England clam chowder, then what's gonna happen to the kids? Are you gonna forget where you left the kids? I mean, no, if that's your answer for forgetting things, that is deeply disturbing. Anyway, they can do, the kids is between them. We can't have the president of the United States, the guy with his finger on the nuclear trigger, listening to a madman like this, but it's about to get worse. Newman played the jury the video of Jones ripping off his clothes to demonstrate his super male virility during an Infowars broadcast. What? Now I know he takes off his shirt, he did it with us, okay? And I don't know if it was the first time he ever did it when he did it with us. Now, he was so mad at us that he stripped his shirt off. You know what, let's go to that video for a second. Let's have a little bit of fun here. Let's go to video 3 when he was ranting against us. Watch.
I mean, I saw a video yesterday where the young Turks were saying that they are the #1 internet news show. I mean, I'm on over 100 AM and FM stations, XM. But on the internet, just look at my website on Alexa compared to their website. Look at my videos, more views. I mean, you're full of crap. I'm #1 in alternative media, period, globally. Even Rolling Stone, New York Magazine, all they've done actuaries.
So he goes on, and then he goes back to a clip where he took his shirt off, and we had a ton of fun with it. Then we showed our numbers versus his numbers. Our lead over him is so large, it's embarrassing. But you know, the media, they're like, oh, what? I heard Trump listens to him. Okay, he's relevant. You guys, I don't know. What? Anyway, all that stuff is water on the bridge. Who cares about that? I just like that he was like, all right, now I'm gonna do a video against the Young Turks. Okay, now what's the first step? Should I go on Facebook Live or YouTube Live? Which camera should I look at? No, right, first step, take your shirt off. So, turns out, by the way, Alex, if you'd like to be anywhere near as large as us online, okay, step 1, keep your shirt on. All right, so we're gonna go to a much worse video in a second, hold, but get a load of this. The lawyer also said that Jones would regularly take off his clothes when he went with Kelly Jones to joint family therapy sessions. What? They're in therapy, they're like, well, look, she makes a good point. On the other hand, super male virility. Take the shirt off, take the pants off. Now wait, I just said take the pants off. No, he's not gonna take his pants off. I mean, that's ridiculous, right? Watch.
So I'll pull whatever stunt I've got to here. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Should I get completely naked? No, there's a family audience. I'm just going to take my shirt off. Hey, you will notice I've lost even more weight. It's been a slow process. InfowarsLife.com. We've got the great DNA Force back in stock. We've got the great super male vitality back in stock. I tell you, I've done the same amount of exercises as I ever did, but taking the great things that Mother Nature has created and concentrating on what super male vitality has really helped me lose a ton of weight. As you can see right here. Now, again, I was not planning this tonight, but I have lost a lot of weight. If you compare this to past videos.
I should have given a stronger warning. And then he wonders why people don't take him seriously. Well, first of all, you think that the aliens and Satan are working together to dominate the world, and that the Rothschilds and the Rockefellers are gonna kill 90% of us. Third of all, you just took your pants off. So if you'd like to get taken a little bit more seriously, perhaps at least keep the pants on. What's hilarious is that he lives in such an alternative reality that he thinks that he actually has a good body. So that's why I say, oh, wait till I show him this. This is a killer body. It's amazing. Oh man, super male virility. Okay, we have told him countless times, and he thinks we're against him, but we're trying to help you out, brother. Keep the shirt on, and definitely keep the pants on. This is not gonna go well for him in trial. How is this trial not over already? How was there not a gavel the minute the judge saw him take his pants off on tape? But all right, well, we'll see. And again, I have no opinion on the actual facts of the family relationships. God bless. I hope the kids are okay. The real resistance is fighting against Trump and the establishment. Help us get investigative reporters that are going to investigate both of them. tytnetwork.com/go.